Worldwide event, as is many events coming up, and hopefully soon will be 420 will be a worldwide event. I'm going to go ahead with one of you two ladies who would like to talk first.
Either way. All right.
All right. So without further ado, Summer.
Yeah. Hi, Boulder. How are you today? I'll tell you, the drive over the mountains from Glenwood was a little bit scary yesterday, but I made it, so I'm pleased to be here with everybody. Basically, to introduce myself a little bit better to you all, my mother's Barbara Philippone. She is the developer of 90% of the standardized hemp textiles you see on today's current marketplace. Our company is Enviro Textiles, which is based in Glenwood Springs, is our U.S. and Canadian sample facility. We have global distribution. Recently, we've been finding, depending on the country, it may be better for the clients to get their product direct from the U.S. Cost-wise than, for example, a distribution center we started up in East Sussex, the UK last year. On top of the overhead, it was costing the clients a lot more to get it there at home than to bring it in from Colorado. So I also, just this last season, was honored to also become the Vice President of the Hemp Industry Association. I was the youngest member up until Alex Whiteplume, some of you may be familiar with. He is on the Pine Ridge Lakota Reservation in South Dakota. He's been fighting for many years to grow industrial hemp. Currently, and Laura is going to be touching on a lot of the legislation that's going on right now, but I am pleased to announce that last year Vermont did legalize industrial hemp. I just got back from a tour out there where they are just ecstatic to start growing. They've set up infrastructure to start selling to Canada. Montana on February 17th passed 9-0 just 2 months ago. So we're really making waves. You know, there's over 30 countries in the world that have grown hemp for centuries. When you look at the global positioning right now of industrial hemp, of course, China is known for textiles, always has, always will be. Eastern Europe's more known for rope, twine, and cordage is really where they focus. That's been a good, stable product for them. Canada is becoming known for the hemp seed oil products, foods, and body cares. So, of course, being in the fabric business, first thing a lot of people ask me is, why don't we make hemp fabric here in the U.S.? And I have to say that that should be the last thing we're worried about utilizing hemp for in the United States. It takes a lot of money to set up the processing and the infrastructure for a textile. That's part of the reason Canada went with the hemp seed oil. It was a lot easier to set up the processing. You know, it was also a very needed product on the marketplace that was not being mass produced. And you look around the United States and you see a lot of these abandoned paper mills and particle board facilities and, you know, facilities we could be utilizing tomorrow to start processing and creating jobs and, of course, a sustainable product that no one else in the world is making but everybody wants, and you could even start exporting again. You know, what a concept for the U.S. So, you know, there's a lot of direction kind of going towards that, I believe, too, even with the Colorado initiative, possibly building materials and composites and things that are also a much lesser impact to produce as well. There's a facility right in Montrose in Colorado that's been sitting abandoned. David Bronner from Dr. Bronner's Soap came out a few years ago with Eric Steenstra. He is the executive of the HIA and Vote Hemp, as well as my mother. And they went to the facility, toured it, and found that every piece of equipment is exactly what is needed to process hemp particle board. Although it's sitting there empty, waiting to come to life again. Of course, we also know that, you know, hemp helps rejuvenate the soils. And one thing that I've noticed here in Colorado, being a native and loving our state and constantly reminding people that, you know, we live in one of the most beautiful places that exists, and just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not here. And don't wait until it's too late. I've been noticing more and more as I travel to these various events and driving through eastern Colorado, where there used to be deer you had to watch out for and wildlife, and now I don't even see one bird out there when I go through the corn lands, which is very apparent when you really notice there's no wildlife left, there's nothing thriving anymore, and we're the only country in the world that does not use companion planting growing practices. One thing that the marijuana supporters and the hemp supporters tend to kind of go at each other with is there is the possible issue of crossbreeding with hemp and marijuana. If we go hemp all over the country, is it going to affect the outdoor marijuana growers? You know, research is the only thing that's really going to tell us. From what we have found, for example, all over the world, except for now Canada, there's not any large plots of hemp. It's all co-op farmers, and these are farmers that have been using the hemp for companion planting for centuries in their own personal garden in their backyard, or in a family co-op in their province or wherever they are. And of course, it's something they've utilized forever, but it's also now brought them more way of life to come and sell off that fiber to us, or the composite, whatever it is that's being needed. But of course, in many of these countries, Mexico is a good example. They do use hemp for companion planting, and then they'll also have their marijuana plants up front for their teas and everything. And we haven't noticed any problems there. So, it's hard to say with large fields if there could be something that could cross-pollinate. It would probably affect both crops. One thing a lot of people usually aren't too familiar with is there are so many different strains of hemp. So, for example, I had a question earlier today that was, why aren't they utilizing the waste in Canada for textiles? Well, that's because in Canada, they're growing the hemp seed strain. So the stock that's left is not a textile grade fiber. Right now, they are trying to find ways to utilize that waste. Of course, the composite material would be the most ideal, again, because of the processing and the impact. One thing everybody needs to be aware of that you'll start noticing on the marketplace is, it's very interesting to me that this boom in demand for green products. First question that I get is the hemp organic? And, yes, it is, but no, we can't say that unless it's been certified. The OTA's put in new rulings saying you can no longer call any product organic unless it's been certified. Well, again, it's not that easy to certify hemp, considering it's co-ops of farmers spread across countries, compared to like cotton, where it's one giant field. The inspector goes out, they're certified for 2-3 years, whatever that certification is, and they move on to the next farmer. It would literally take an inspector, a month or more to travel around a region and document all of these co-op farmers. So we're also looking at a huge increase of cost to certify. So basically, when you research hemp, you find it doesn't require any of these harmful pesticides or herbicides. It's been, growing as a natural pesticide and herbicide in these countries for many years. A lot of these countries couldn't afford those chemicals, even if they wanted them. And imagine a crop that, depending on the strain, is yielding per linear meter 150 to 300 plants per linear meter. So in Canada, for example, with it being a seed strain, they are reaching more of the 300 range. And it's an incredible yield. You don't need those agents to induce any kind of growth, like with the corns. As you use those chemicals, it's inducing the yield, and it's giving those farmers incentive to throw more on the crop.